Folks, welcome into sportsbookreview.com. It is Tuesday, and it's time to talk some Major League Baseball. Getting after today, both myself, Jason Radowitz, and also Kyle Purviance. We are the Major League Baseball team here at sportsbookreview.com. I'm upset, I'm angry, but I'm back in play today. Jason, I know you cashed in yesterday. Thank you for that.
Yeah, got a winner there in the first inning. Lots of fun. I was able to go root for my Mets right after that hit for the rest of the game. And, of course, they came out with a 15-11 win in extra innings. And I thought I was going to go to sleep at around 10 o'clock. I thought it was going to be an early night for me. Of course, the Mets go to extra innings. Took forever. There were 26 runs in the game. And, of course, I went to bed at midnight instead of 10. So that was my night. But, yeah, we did get the cash, and that was a lot of fun. But now on to today. Got to forget that and move on to today. And got to play there for you guys as well. So,
yeah, we're looking good. Good card today. By the way, Kyle, he's taking a look at, and this is the reason why baseball is so manic at some times. You get four by the fourth inning. You're like, hey, you know what? Blowout game, bad pitcher's going to be in here. Tiny little ballpark. And you go 5 innings, no runs here for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, and then the Astros do the same thing in 4. So it's 27 outs with no runs. All we need is one apiece. That kind of shit makes me lose sleep. So, yeah, I thought I was going to go to bed at 10 o'clock too. And then I tossed and turned pissed off at the Astros and the Blue Jays. The Orioles saved me a little bit late. They're sneaky against lefties. We'll talk about them some more today. But back at it. We need a little bit of luck, a sprinkle of goodness. Good job, Jason, saving the show yesterday. Get back at it today. Hey, that shit's going to happen. Sometimes you think, and I almost tweeted it out, right? I almost look, this is locked in, guys. We got 27 outs. Come on, let's call it a perfect day. And then it's crap. And then, of course, we barely just joke a little about Lester being a can. He comes out, he's Tom Glavine on the mound, and he's hitting home runs. He's Ohtani at the plate. Crazy day yesterday. Let's get some winners today. Let's have some fun.
Yeah, it's interesting because, Lester, usually it doesn't matter who he's going up against. Now, the Marlins put out like a single-A squad. I mean, we were talking about yesterday, no Cooper, no Chisholm, and then at game time, no Marte either. That was a whack lineup, but still, no excuses here to actually get out-homered and outscored by Lester himself while he was on the mound. So it was interesting stuff here. But we are ready to tee it up today on a Tuesday. Nice little Major League Baseball card. Some weather conditions in some spots, but also some hot weather like out in Colorado today. Taking a look here, over 100 people already watching in the chat box. Thank you for coming in here and joining us today. 87,100 subscribers right here on our sportsbookreview.com YouTube channel. If you haven't done that yet, if that button does not say gray and subscribe and still is red, click on that button, turn your notification bell on. We go live and talk Major League Baseball all throughout the summer right here on the channel. You'll be able to come in the chat box and also say hello. And oh yeah, we're talking about big money here at sportsbookreview.com. $20,000 in Bitcoin up for grabs all summer long, right through to the end of September into the playoffs. Take a look at this video here by Lee Martin. She's going to explain everything you need to know.
The free $20,000 MLB 10 runs for free cash contest is now live at SBRforum.com. What is the contest? It's simple. Each day in a designated SBR forum post, you pick one team that you think will score 10 or more runs that day. You qualify to win $100 that day if you are correct. Each day the game continues, you pick another team. And every time your team scores 10 runs, you'll be adding onto your total score. The contest is split into 3 segments, and at the end of each segment, the top scorers split $2,500. And at the conclusion of the contest, there's even more cash up for grabs, in total over $20,000. And I know what you're thinking. You can just pick the Yankees every day and win. No, you can only pick the same team once per week. Check out the link in the description for more info and see you in the SBR forum for the contest.
There we go. Thank you, Lee Martin, for explaining that to us. And by the way, we're talking about Major League Baseball now. No gunk on the baseball. And I don't know if you're using juice baseballs, but talking about taking teams to score 10 runs or more. It was popping yesterday in Major League Baseball. So hopefully it pops once again today. Let's get into the Major League Baseball card. Afternoon action today. 3:37 first pitch East Coast time, 12:37 out west. The Angels and the Oakland Athletics, 9:13, 9:14. Pinnacle opened up offshore with Caprillion on the mound versus Suarez, the lefty, at 135. That's quickly risen to 153. Opened up at FanDuel at 142. That now sits at 164. So some lines on the move here, Jason. We'll start with you first. Over-under opened up at 9. That is also down to 8.5. I think most of us were in agreement yesterday. The under out in Oakland looked like the play. Ohtani was sensational sensational yesterday, but it's Ohtani and nobody else on that baseball team. Doesn't look good. If I'm looking at this game overall, Suarez, usually the guy I like to fade. I don't know about technically a fade today. Do I want to lay $1.64 here in New Jersey? Probably not, but I've got to tell you right now, not really feeling the Angels, Jason, at this point.
Yeah, both teams actually have both pitchers really have solid ERAs. You've got Purviance at 2.90, Suarez at 2.29, and now you're in Oakland, you're in a pitcher's ballpark in a day game where, I'm sure that both of the teams are probably not really up and ready to go for this game in the first place. You look at this Angels lineup, outside of Ohtani, what do they got? Like you said, they got nothing. Ohtani, in his 49 plate appearances against righties, 625 ISO. The rest of the lineup, if we can go down the list, as of late, you got Marsh, he'll be in the lineup, only has 4 plate appearances, and like everyone likes to hear, 0.00 ISO, 0.00 weighted OBA. Then you have guys like Ward, Eaton, Adam Eaton's now on the team, and he's been awful against righties, but he's a lefty bat, that's why they got him, but he's not going to give that production like Jock Peterson and Stephen Vogt have for the Braves. There's not going to be much offense in this game. If anything, Suarez, he still hasn't been great as of late. Does have a 5.56 xFIP in the last 30 days, walking 14.5%. So I'll give the edge to the Athletics here. They do have a couple guys like Matt Olson who can hit a homer. Jed Lowry can hit one. Murphy. So those guys can at least do some damage in the lineup and maybe end up winning the game, 3-1, 4-1 type of deal.
Yeah, some average ISO power numbers here out of the Athletics as they match up against Suarez. But here's the issue. If you're trying to go up against Suarez, he's a lefty. He's actually struggling a little bit getting lefties out. But as you take a look at the lineup today, outside of Matt Olson, he's the only lefty in the lineup for the Oakland Athletics. And Kyle, if we look at Suarez's splits here just from 2021, take a look at to righties, 78 batters that he's faced, a 220 weighted on base average, and an ISO power number of .104. Those are sensational numbers. I'm looking at more unders here out in Oakland. Kyle, what are you thinking?
Yeah, someone actually mentioned it pretty astutely in the chat box. The under 4.5 in the first 5 innings combined on this makes kind of a lot of sense to me. Getting a good number on it, minus 120. Actually, even money. Under 4.5 in the first 5 innings, I think makes sense. Both lineups, they do have good weighted 3-year OPSs, but when you dig deeper and start doing what they're doing this year, which is exactly right on this one, hard to trust either team. Even Walsh, he does have a home run in 3 at-bats. Off of Purviance, but still he's been ice cold over the last couple of weeks. I'm not sure I can trust either lineup here. It's a stay away game for me, completely staying away. If the Oakland A's are in it, you can pretty much count me out unless they look really, really good. I will say the under 4.5 in the first 5 innings at even money actually makes a lot of sense to me. I could see both pitchers getting through, this lineup once or twice here in this game. They did very well in their last outing against each other. Purviance put up a 38 in terms of fantasy points. That's very, very solid. Suarez, 27. The A's have had a tendency to light up Suarez a little bit more than, of course, the Angels in a smaller sample size at Purviance. So if you're taking a side here, I would lean Oakland, especially when you consider that Angels bullpen, which fell apart again last night. But for me, if I'm going to bet this game, which I'm not, but the lean would be under 4.5 in the first 5 innings.
925, 926, Philadelphia and the New York Yankees. Interesting matchup here. 2 front offices here trying to say, should we go not all in, but make some changes before the trade deadline to try to bolster our rosters to get into the playoffs here in 2021. Nola versus Herman, 925, 926, 9s across the board as a total. Take a look at the opening numbers here, anywhere between minus 120, minus 125 offshore and here in New Jersey for the Philadelphia Phillies. Staying in that range, DraftKings 130 points, or Bet 365, minus 135 here in New Jersey as well. So the favorite is Aaron Nola. You're getting the better pitcher, Aaron Nola. You're getting the better lineup in the Philadelphia Phillies. But as we know, sometimes a little bit leaky late in game situations with the Philadelphia Phillies bullpen. But Jason, if we're taking a look at this game on its whole, it's pretty clear. It's really interesting though with Aaron Nola. He's coming off COVID. That might be a little bit of one of those spots where you try to second guess yourself if he gets lit up. I knew I shouldn't have done that. Or if he pitches well through 5 or 6 innings, he just needed extra rest. Nothing was wrong, and it's actually helped his arm. Look at the last 30 days. He's had 71 batters that he's faced. His xFIP number, a 1.63. Striking out 43% of the batters that he's faced at this point. So you want to say getting a little bit lucky because he's gotten rocked in some instances. But when your xFIP is that low, that is historically low, technically at a 1.63. Hopefully he pitches on the up and up if you're back in the Philadelphia Phillies. But looking at the lineups itself, I don't trust the Yankees lineup. And I'm finally looking at the Phillies lineup here, Jason, coming to life. I think they can score runs tonight up in the Bronx.
Yeah, just going off of Nola, if you look at his batting average of balls in play in those last 30 days, it's a 424. That's going to obviously decrease.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to do. It's really been the righties that have done damage against him. 405 weighted OBA, ISO of 250, but also the walks are low at 6.5%, and the striking out 35.5% of those righties. So it's just been a lot of unlucky instances. Yeah, some of the plays have been hard contact, 44.4%, but in reality, yeah, he's been a little bit unlucky in his last couple of starts. And like even against the Mets, he had a game where he went 5.1 innings pitched on the 25th of June. He had 12 strikeouts in that, just 2 hits and 5.1 innings pitched. Then you go to Miami, had 11 strikeouts and 4.2 innings pitched, even after allowing 7 earned runs. So he still has really good stuff, just somehow getting a little bit unlucky with infield type of deal. And then you go to Domingo Germán of the Yankees. Now he hasn't pitched more than 4.1 innings pitched since June 6th. So he hasn't gotten deep at all in any start. And he's been, going into relief. Looks like in July he was going in relief, got a couple of holds against the Mariners and the Astros. So this is a guy that hasn't really been pitching long in many games since the start of June and even early May when he was going a little bit deeper. So I think the Phillies, like you said, they have a really good offense. It looks really good up against righties. The middle of the lineup: Harper, McCutchen, Hoskins, Gregorius back in the lineup. Miller has been really solid with power against righties. Then even Jankowski has done some damage. So yeah, the Phillies have a really good lineup. I think Nola kind of figures it out against the Yankees lineup that's obviously on paper not too good. Judge won't be back yet, so that's something to look forward to if you're betting the Phillies. I would go with the Phillies here in the first 5.
Yeah, I mean, taking a look at it, like if I do the numbers on my card, Aaron Nola is by far and away the single best pitcher on the card today, and maybe over the last 30 days. You say, well, how's that possible at a 6.19 ERA? Check out these numbers. In xFIP of 1.71 as we went over, a Sierra of 1.79. It's amazing because take the ERA completely out of the equation. Aaron Nola is look at the numbers. Ks per 9 inning, 17.44 over the last 30 days. Are you these numbers are off the charts over the last 30 days. So Aaron Nola, the more you look at it over Domingo Germán, I mean, this is like Jacob deGrom level for last 30 days with xFIP and Sierra numbers. I agree. I know where you're going here, Colin. I agree with you.
Yeah, and now I'm terrified as shit. You guys just jinxed the living hell out of it. We can't talk about it this way. We have to be very subtle about it, or the universe gets very, very angry. Listen, this is my favorite play on the card. I normally like to leave the teaser for the best bets, but I'm sorry. It checks all the boxes. Phillies lineup, check. Pitching advantage, check. If you look at the history, Germán's last start against this Phillies lineup put up -2 fantasy points. Aaron Nola, 111 combined fantasy points in his last 2 starts. Even when Nola is bad, okay, and people have talked about, look, he hasn't been the greatest in his last few starts. Even at his worst, he has more fantasy points than Germán does in his last 4 starts combined. So his lowest fantasy total of 26 in his last 5 starts is higher than Germán's last 5 combined. It checks every single box for me. Weighted OPS 3-year, it's the biggest advantage from Nola. 672 up to Germán, 972 against the Phillies lineup. Phillies -0.5 in the first 5 innings. They say, well, if you like the Phillies so much, why not take them full game? One, you'd never trust that Phillies bullpen. The Yankees have a good bullpen, so you got to use your brain here. There's absolutely a path here where the Phillies are up 4-1 after 5 innings, and they lose this game 6-4. I mean, that's legitimately a possibility in this game. Taking them -0.5 in the first 5 innings, you get a nice number at -105. You figure Nola's going to make it through those first 5 innings. If Germán does, you figure he's given up 3 or 4 runs. It's unlikely he even gets to that 6th inning. Phillies -0.5 in the first 5, -105 is the play for me today. Just checks all the boxes and then checks them again. We may have jinxed the living hell out of it. Baseball's been crazy lately. But when you follow the numbers, that's the way to go here. Don't trust the Phillies bullpen. If you're going to bet the Phillies, do it in the first 5 innings.
Yeah, taking a look at Nola on the season, a 3.28 Sierra, and then an xFIP of 3.37. Also, his seasonal xFIP minus is an 80, which is very good. But if you translate it to just the last 30 days, he's at a 40. Like, that's DeGrom level dominance out here. It should be interesting to see
Can
what
you
takes
say that
place
last?
here out
Okay,
in the Bronx.
no more. We have to make sure that Nola doesn't explode and give up
No, we
9
got to go
runs
the
in the first
opposite.
inning.
We got to jinx him into
God.
the playing pitching
God,
well. That's
I'm
the goal.
so nervous
He's watching
now.
the show. He's probably in his
I'm
hotel room right
terrified.
now in New York. He's in
I'm
his hotel
terrified.
room watching the show right now going, damn, this Donnie's really supporting me. Kyle's got my back tonight. I got to go out here and dominate this baseball game. It should be a fun one to watch. And if you're looking for home runs, you might get a few in that tiny little ballpark, hot and humid up in the Bronx. There you go. So that's
Love the Harper home run prop tonight. I really do. I actually like it quite a bit tonight. He's on the list.
All right, last game that we're going to talk about before we hit the rest of the stuff we got to get to. Value menu plays, obviously best bets and bankers, odds board. How about this one at night, San Francisco and L.A.? I think if you watched the show yesterday, we were all in agreement here. If you're going to take a shot on a dog here with the San Francisco Giants and Gausman on the mound, that was the night to do it. But how about if I told you Gausman only lasted 3 innings? Like, Dodgers blow them out. Not so fast. 7-2 Giants last night. Now we take a look at Wood on the mound. We don't know who's going to go for the Dodgers, but this is interesting territory here. What happens if the Giants win this series over the Dodgers, and now are they the favorites to win this division here, Jason? It's wild out west.
Yeah, so it looks like Josiah Gray will take the mound for the Dodgers. It'll be his MLB debut coming up from AAA. In AAA, the prospect, he's had a 2.87 ERA through 3 starts in 4 games, 15.2 innings pitched, 12.6 strikeouts per 9 innings, walking just a 1.1. Also, the home runs are a little bit high in those 15.2 innings pitched because he's got 1.7 home runs per 9 innings, but his whip sitting at .638. So really, really low whip. He's looked really good in AAA Oklahoma City. So we'll see how that translates into the MLB. I'd be worried of fading a guy like him who's looked really good in AAA so far. But then you go to the Dodgers. They're going to take on Alex Wood. Alex Wood, a lefty who's kind of walked a little bit more batters than I think he would have liked. The Dodgers, they actually look pretty good against lefties recently. Now, if you go to like Betts, Turner, Muncy, Pollock, these guys have really destroyed lefties in the last 30 days. The projected lineup would actually have a 339 ISO and a 408 weighted OBA against the lefties in the last 30 days. The walks are low. The strikeouts are low enough as well. Can they walk more? I think if they could be more patient, yeah, they should be able to walk. They're not hitting too many ground balls either. And if they can do that against Wood and put the ball, in the air, that should bode well for the Dodgers. So I think I'd go with the Dodgers in this game, but for me personally, I will not bet on guys making their major league debut because you just don't know what's going to happen. We've seen so many different instances where a guy comes in, pitches really well. We've seen instances where a guy's supposed to be really good and looks awful. So I'm staying away from this game, but if I were to choose, I'd look at the Dodgers and maybe the team total over since you don't have to worry about Josiah Gray or the Dodgers pitching.
Yeah, if we take a look on the season here, Kyle, for the Dodgers, I mean, going up against lefties, they have absolutely smashed lefties when usually we say like, hey, Dodgers going up against a lefty doesn't work out that well. Check out the anticipated lineup tonight versus lefties, just the ISO power numbers. Betts, 273, Turner, 284, Muncy, 329, Pujols, 306, Taylor, 281, and Pollock, 242. Astronomical ISOs, astronomical weighted on base average, and not a lot of strikeouts. So maybe if you're not looking towards the Dodgers to win this game, Kyle, maybe looking towards the Dodgers to score some runs here.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. Now, Alex Wood's actually been pretty solid his last 2 starts against the Dodgers, a 37 and a 30. We've talked about this on the show, and we've seen it happen. These guys who are high pedigree and pitching really well in AAA, we had Alek Manoah when he came up for Toronto. He got smashed in that first start. And what was that other kid for the Royals? He had like a nothing ERA in AAA and came out and gave up like 15 runs in the first inning. So it's really hard to back those guys. I can't find a number on this side. If you for some reason are getting plus money on the Giants again, I think it's another good plus money spot. You have a lefty in Wood who's been fairly solid again.
Plus 125.
There you go. I think it's another underdog spot for me. And again, it's nothing official. It's just a lean for me. But we've seen these high pedigree pitchers who come in and make their debut. Doesn't always turn out so well, and then they sort of get their groove. Like Alek Manoah has absolutely gotten into his groove, but that first start, he was terrible. I mean, plain and simple. When you get into the big leagues, you're in Dodger Stadium, one of the most iconic places to play in the major leagues. It's the Giants and the Dodgers. Outside of Yankees, Red Sox, probably the most iconic rivalry in all of baseball. It's tough. to put your money on a guy making his debut. I would lean the Giants here at plus money. Again, it's just a lean, nothing official there. And you're right. And you have to see if Mookie Betts is going to play. He was a late scratch last night. Something's going on with his hip there. You'll have to see if he's in the lineup. Typically, you want to fade him against a lefty, but he has been better over the last, month or two, which is good. Over the last 3 years, he's twice as good against righties and lefties. For me, take the plus money spot on the Giants if you have to bet this game. I'm staying away, but I just can't rely on a AAA guy making his debut. Just can't do it.
Yeah, it's tough. Yep, it's absolutely tough to do there. Why don't we slide it down the bar and go to our value menu wager plays? I wish I would have made my value menu wager play yesterday my play of the day, since Tampa Bay stunk, but those New York Mets came out hitting out there, ended up with 15 runs in that ball game. You know what I'm going to do today? Kyle's going to like this one. I'm going to Colorado. I'm going where the heat and humidity is. I'm going where it's 95 degrees at first pitch with the wind blowing out to left. No shame. I've catched team totals at over 6 with the San Diego Padres when they went out to Coors Field. But I'm going to go with the home team in this one. A straight fade of Marco Gonzalez. Now, it's a 5.5 at minus 120 currently sitting here at the MGM Sportsbook, which I don't think is a bad number. You want to pile those up in the first 5 innings because Seattle does have a decent bullpen. It just comes down to this. The right-handers in the lineup looking tonight for the Colorado Rockies: Hampson, Rogers, Story, Crone, Diaz, and Owings, right? You say, all right, just line them up from the right side. Take a look at Marco Gonzalez. On the season, he's gotten crushed from the right-hand side since he's a left-handed pitcher. But look at just the last 30 days. A 6.37 xFIP number, light strikeouts, but get this, weighted on base average to righties, I don't know if I've ever seen this, 5.72, and an ISO power number of 0.548. It doesn't even compute. Balls are going to leave the yard tonight. I'm taking it. Value menu wager tonight. Colorado Rockies team total over the 5.5 minus 120 here. Take it away, Jason. Where's your value tonight?
Yes, I'm looking at the 4 o'clock game between the Brewers and the Royals. Now, this is a game where the Brewers are the home team, so the pitcher will be batting, but that's not going to stop me from taking the Brewers over 2.5 on the team total in the first 5 innings at minus 115 via DraftKings. I'm not sure where it's at now, but I'm sure it's around that same range. And, I agree with it as a value play. You look at, Minor, he's looked terrible in the last 4 starts, really the last, 2 months for the most part. If you go back to June and July, he's only had 1 game where he's allowed 1 earned run or less. The rest have been 2 earned runs or more. And he's had a bunch of games where he's allowed 4 to 5 runs in his outings. His last 4, all decisions that he lost as well. 9 runs to Texas, 5 runs to Boston, 4 to the Reds, and then 6 to the Indians in his last start, going 4 innings. So now we come back from the All-Star break. He got some rest, but I'm not sure that's going to help him much. Because if you look at the stats, he's got a 419 weighted OBA in the last 69 plate appearances against righties, also ISO of 242. In that lineup, you're going to have a bunch of righties. You'll have 6 righties and then 2 lefties like Wong and Yelich, who have done well against lefties already this season. And he's also, Minor does have a 435 weighted OBA against his last 26 lefties, also 174 ISO. It's just been a disaster for Minor. Strikeouts are low, walks are a little bit high, batting average, balls in play high, but that's also because of hard contact that he's allowed. So I think the Brewers get the job done early in this game. They'll score 3 or more runs in the first 5 innings, and that'll be the value play.
I like to look at that, too, because you also have that dichotomy. They do, on the seasonal numbers, they do strike out a lot against left-handed pitchers, but their ISO power numbers are sensational. But you also look at the last 30 days, as you're saying with Mike Minor, 6.57 xFIP, and then both his weighted on base average to lefties and righties is elevated. I agree. I had that as a circled wager as well. What do you take a look at today, Kyle, on your value menu wager card?
Well, I like that you took the Rockies, so I'm not taking the crappiest team. I'm taking the second crappiest team here. I'm going to look at the Baltimore Orioles. That team total is sitting at over 3, minus 130, so they get 3. First of all, it's a push. I love that anytime I can get that free roll at 3 runs. They're a little bit sneaky this year against left-handed pitching. They've got advantages here. 6 of the projected 9 batters with at least a slight advantage of 1, 32, 13, 34, 28, and 86%. Guys like Mancini in the middle of the lineup, Mountcastle in the middle of the lineup, very effective against lefties. I kind of like this Orioles team total over 3, minus 130. I know they're not the greatest team. Of course, we're not taking them to win. They did bail us out last night and get us some plus money after a horrific start by some of those Blue Jays and Astros. But it just seems too low. They've been sneaky against lefties. I like some of the advantages in the lineup. I like them as a value team in DFS if you're looking to save some money and stack a lineup for some value. I'm going to go with the Orioles over 3, minus 130 on my value menu.
All right, there we go. Let's get to the fun part of the card here. Best bets and bankers on the board. Dropped my play yesterday, so now 29-12 on the season. Looking for win number 30 tonight. And I'm going to the Windy City, Minnesota, and the Chicago White Sox here. Take a look right now. Bet MGM 4.5 at -125 for the Chicago White Sox. I really like this game. And reason being is we can take a look, sure, on the seasonal statistics. But once we have some more statistics filled in where you can now go look at the full season and also the last 30 days, this play makes much more sense as you take a look at it. Also, let's keep in mind, it's like the fourth time, I believe it is the fourth time actually, that the White Sox have seen Ober. Lit him up twice, but one game he did have a pretty good outing over the first 5 innings. Now, also take a look, Minnesota Twins don't have a good bullpen. But here's the crux of the argument right now. Last 30 days for Ober, 5.48 xFIP numbers. Look at his weighted on base average to lefties, a 419 and an ISO power number of 306. Now, righties, he's actually has a decent weighted on base average at 310. But look at the ISO power numbers at a .321. Now, here's the fun part of the argument here, which I love it going over the 4.5. Weighted on base averages for the last 30 days versus right-handed pitching for the Chicago White Sox. It's unbelievable. All the way down the lineup, starting with Anderson. 412, 346, 338, 391, 371, 373, 445, 570, and yeah, the 9-hole batter Collins, a 433 weighted on base average. Now, the reason I like this even more, in order to get team totals, you like to get home runs, right? So you look at these ISO power numbers from Ober, left-handers, 306, incredible, almost double the Major League Baseball average. The same thing to righties, 321. Take a look at the ISO power numbers here. Tim Anderson leads off with a 200, which is very good. But let's take a look at the bottom of the lineup, 4 through 9. 288, 243, 288, 432, 421, and 333. One of the better lineups you're going to see over the past 30 days against an average pitcher. Chicago White Sox getting me 5 runs tonight. Taking the 4.5, -125. Best bet and banker. I'm on it, baby. I'm ready, Jason. Go ahead.
Yeah, look, I'm on the same team here, but I'm going on the first 5. Of course, I agree with going the full game. Earlier, I got the over 2.5 in the first 5 team total at -110. It's now gotten to -125. Now, one of the reasons why I like taking first 5 team totals is the line is a little bit lower. And so, like I said, I got it at -110 as opposed to -125 for the full game. So that's 15 cents. And if you play that game for the entire season, you're going to end up becoming more profitable doing that just in general. But like Donnie said, I mean, there's so many reasons to go take the White Sox here. I mean, the temperature is around 80 degrees. The wind's going to be blowing out to right field. There's going to be a bunch of left-handed bats that could hit for power. And obviously the ball should be carrying over the fence. And even guys like Anderson, they could hit, home runs to the right field side and see that ball carry as well. So, I don't need to talk anymore. Just Donnie touched on it. The White Sox, their offense is incredible. Ober's been terrible against lefties, also allowing power to the righties, and should be able to get 3 runs in the first 5 innings. So even at -125, I agree with it. You could take it either way. If you want to get that first 5, and then if it doesn't hit, you can double down and take that full game team total at a smaller price. You can do that too. There's a lot of ways to play around with it, but take our analysis for how you will, and the White Sox should be able to score plenty of runs in this game.
Oh, I love it. I want it both wrapped up, Jason. I want 5 by the 5th. That's exactly what we're hoping for tonight. Yep. Cash in some of these tickets here. 350 people watching live. Thank you, Chatbox, for bringing that support. Kyle, where are we at tonight? Best bet and bankers. We need them. Let's go.
Yeah, just to touch on that, I love the White Sox as well. They were very close to making my value menu. And you should have a running mate with the Twins against Keuchel tonight as well. Nelson Cruz, 6 home runs in 55 at-bats in his career against Keuchel, so I think Nelson Cruz a nice home run prop. Minnesota should push the pace as well, so you should see runs in that game. I love that pick by both of you guys. I'm going with those Philadelphia Phillies, -0.5 in the first 5 innings. It's just such a big pitching discrepancy for me, and we have that better lineup in Philly. No, I'm not taking it full game. We touched on this again. The Yankees, a very, very good, solid bullpen. The Phillies, not so much. So you'd hate to lose a lead and lose a game late in the game because you're relying on a bad bullpen. -0.5 in the first 5 innings at -105, which with, to me, the biggest pitching discrepancy on the card, Herman versus Nola. I like the Phillies tonight. I think they get runs early. I like the Bryce Harper home run prop as well. Guys like JT Realmuto have smashed Herman in the past. It's solid against righties. Segura, McCutchen, all the way up and down the order. I like the Phillies better tonight, and we've got those injuries, the COVID issues with the Yankees. You're looking at probably the worst Yankees lineup you're going to see all year long, just in terms of talent, especially with Judge, et cetera. Out. Phillies minus 0.5 in the first 5 innings at minus 105 is my play of the day today.
All right. I like where we're going. Let's hit that odds lightning round now and get through this rest of the Major League Baseball card as we spin it around. Quick thoughts here, 9:27, 9:28, another afternoon game here for you, Jason. Minor versus, actually, Lauer did get scratched, if I can stall back on Twitter there. Yeah. So Anderson will be the pitcher on the mound. Quick thoughts here, updating with that pitching change here.
Yeah, like I said, I'm going to be on the Brewers over 2.5 in the first 5 on the team total at minus 115. A couple people in the chat now says at minus 110. I think there's a lot of value there going up against Mike Minor. Obviously, Minor, like I just spoke about earlier, has not been great in his last 4. Really been bad in the last 2 months, and there's a lot of righties in the lineup for the Brewers that can do damage. And, of course, the 2 lefties in the lineup, like Wong and Yelich, also can do plenty of damage, getting on base and score some runs. So, again, the Brewers over 2.5 for the first 5 team total. That's the value play for me.
Next game up, 9:01, 9:02. Miami, which looks dead in the water. I mean, it's time to trade any pieces, I guess, that you have. I almost thought yesterday Starlin Marte, who is one of those trade pieces that's getting some, interest around Major League Baseball. It was no surprise that he was scratched yesterday. Probably just don't want to get him injured so they can move on. Rogers, the lefty, will be on the mound here for Miami, a very good pitcher versus Espino. Gives you what he gives you. 5 innings, 2 earned, 3 earned, maybe 4 earned runs to keep you in the ball game in this one. I would love to fade Espino on the mound and maybe look at the Marlins team total. But if there's any indication yesterday who's going to be in the lineup and what are you actually going to get, it's really hard to go that route. But to having an 18-1 ball game here, Kyle, and then come back with roughly a pick-em on the board shows you how good a pitcher Rogers can be.
Yeah, Rogers is really, really good. And that's what makes it hard here, because you do want to fade Espino. This feels like an under 4.5 in the first 5 innings. It's very, very possible here, especially a team that comes out and scores 18 runs a day before you. It's very common for those things to trend back towards the mean where they don't do a whole lot. Of course, the concern is, what if the Marlins somehow get hot against this very, very mediocre at best pitcher in Espino? Complete stay away game for me. I want nothing to do, especially the day after you have these 18-1 type blowouts. It's going to be a strange day, and you never really know the mental sort of focus of these players and how they're feeling about the next day. Are the Marlins more focused? Are they angry? Are the Nationals letting off a little bit after they just kicked the crap out of them the day before? Mm-hmm. Weird game. I would lead in the under 4.5 in the first 5 innings. It's at minus 120 I'm looking at here. That makes some sense to me, but that's just a lean, nothing official on that game.
How about the next one here, 9:15, 9:16, Boston and Toronto, Richards and Hatch. Richards, one of those guys we love to fade. I do have Toronto as a circled play here on my card for a possible team total. 136 is across the board, another high total of 11.5. Some weather conditions creeping in, and maybe for Garrett Richards for the rest of the season. Probably hopes it rains every 5th day here, Jason.
Yeah, and again, we have another game where a new pitcher will take the mound in Thomas Hatch. He hasn't pitched this year. He did pitch a little bit in 2020. Now in AAA for Hatch, he's started 8 games, a 2.15 ERA, strikeouts are around 9 per 9 innings, and then the walks are a little bit high at 3.7, but not too bad. Really not allowing too many home runs, under 1 home run per 9. Hits are under 6 per 9 with a whip of 1.05. So not been too bad. And then if you go to his stats in 2020, you look at Hatch here, went 3-1 in 17 games, just 1 start, but just an FIP 4.14, whip of 1.17. So again, he's not a terrible pitcher and can get the job done here. He is definitely way better than Richards, and that's why I do agree with the Blue Jays being favorites, even with Hatch on the mound. So I would go the Blue Jays. I think that they'll score some runs, but of course, be careful. The weather is not too great right now. So.
Yeah, another interesting one on top of this one, stock for the New York Mets here, Kyle. 903, 904. Miley, the lefty, will be on the mound. 158s, 150s, depending on where you're shopping at across the board, both offshore and also here in the United States. 10.5, some 11s out there as well. I mean, who's stopping these lineups? I mean, the Mets look like they got their act together at the plate. We know the Reds can hit. Don't think Castellanos is going to be in the lineup, but they dinged 11 without Castellanos yesterday, Kyle.
Exactly, and these lefties for the Reds profile beautifully again. I mean, Naquin, 76% advantage over the last 3 years. Winker, 46. Barnhart, 60. Votto, 41. You would love it if Castellanos was back in the lineup, and I think both team totals are absolutely live here. Even Suarez hits righties better than lefties. I think we know that. He's been doing that his entire career. As I look at this, if I'm trying to lean aside, nothing official here, you could see a lot of runs. I think the over does make sense. I tend not to bet those when they're in double digits. I do think Miley is the better pitcher here. I know he didn't look great in his last outing, but he is, of these two, the higher pedigreed pitcher, in my opinion. So I will lean the Reds minus 0.5 in the first 5 innings here. You're getting it at minus 120. I think that makes a lot of sense. If you want to take the money line and hope for the push, it's at minus 155, so it's not overly juiced. Miley's certainly the better pitcher here. Both teams should be able to score. Again, I'm betting the Reds in the first 5 innings because that bullpen is terrible. So if you want to take them as a side, you take them in those first 5 innings when they have this, in my opinion, the pitching advantage here today. Certainly the more pedigreed pitcher. The lefties in the lineup look good today against the Mets. I'll take the Reds minus 0.5 in the first 5 innings, minus 120.
Baltimore and Tampa Bay, I think we know how this works today. Tampa Bay busts out the bats and gets 5 to 6 runs in this one. They were big favorite yesterday, Jason, minus 300. Now back to minus 200 here. Means the lefty will be on the mound for Baltimore. McClanahan, the lefty, will be on the mound for Tampa Bay. So a battle of lefties. 8s turning into 7.5s. We'll see if that changes up tonight. A horrendous performance just in time for the Rays yesterday. But how are you looking at this game tonight, Jason?
Yeah, Means obviously back from injury. It's been a minute, now he's back, and who knows what you'll get out of him, how deep he'll go. And then once he goes, 2-3 innings, you get the Orioles bullpen. And yeah, they held it down yesterday, but you can't really trust them to hold it down throughout the entire season and in an entire series for the most part. So I like Means here. I think he matches up well as he does against really any team. He's their only pitcher for the most part, but can't really rely on him either. So if you're going to, maybe look at a no-runs first inning spot here. I don't think that we'll see a run in the first inning, but outside that, I probably wouldn't touch this game. The Orioles could win this game with Means on the mound, but we just don't know how long Means will go. And once the bullpen comes in, things can just really shift, and not in favor of the Orioles.
How about this next one here? 919, 920. Kyle yesterday saying, yeah, I think Texas could do pretty well at the plate yesterday. Not so much. I mean, hey, look, it boils down to one thing. If you're giving up, career days to Miguel Cabrera, who's basically dead and buried right now, you got what you got yesterday. But now here we go again. Scooble's going to be on the mound, who actually had a couple decent starts, but looks like he's back to leaking a little bit of oil. Dunning's going to be on the mound for Texas. Minus 130 favorite here for Detroit at home. 9s across the board. Some 8.5s are showing their face. Are you down now with Texas? Because they can stack right-handed bats as well. Just a matter if they hit. Last night, they were terrible.
I mean, you feel like they're going to bounce back tonight, right? And, of course, I liked them yesterday, and they just absolutely wet the bed. I mean, they just peed all over themselves. It was absolutely pathetic to watch. Kind of like the bounce back here, just a lean. Dunning's actually been pretty solid his last couple of starts against Detroit at 30 and 25. We'll have to see how Scooball can hold up. I will say it's a decent 752 weighted 3-year OPS. Not in love with that Rangers lineup today as it sort of profiles against it. I'll lean Detroit here. I don't love it. I'll lean Texas here. I don't love it. If you want to make it a part of your parlay piece, I suppose that's fine. Very, very, very slight lean. Other than that, stay the hell away from this game. I don't know what you're going to. These are two teams who have no desire to win. These are two teams who have no hope for the future this year. These are two very bad baseball teams, basically just bringing up the rear and taking up space, if we will, almost wastes of space on the baseball field. Slightly into Texas after what happened yesterday, but that's about as far as I'd go.
All right, 905, 906, Darvish and Tucson. Some weather conditions again down in Atlanta. Yesterday it didn't rain all that much, but they were doing one of those postponements because they figured a lot of rain would come when it actually didn't. Now they're going to be caught up here again. And look, this is, I don't want to say a credit to Atlanta. I mean, if Atlanta really thinks they're going to win the NL East and get to the playoffs, you're down to Touki Toussaint as your pitching staff. Like, you don't have very good pitchers. You have a terrible bullpen. You rent Jock Peterson to see if you can get hot for a week and stay in the race. I don't know what Atlanta's going to look like they're doing, but tonight, clearly a mismatch here with Darvish, now Toussaint on the mound. 180s, 175s across the board, 9s as well. If this game does play, San Diego, to me, Jason, should rake here.
Yeah, Darvish hasn't been the best either, though. 36 plate appearances against righties in the last 30 days, 391. Weighted OBA, ISO 324. Then lefties, 30 plate appearances, 365 weighted OBA, and ISO of 250. So Darvish has been hit, and he's been hit pretty hard recently, 46.8% hard contact as well. So there's chance for the Braves to score some runs, but I really do like the Padres offense, like you touched on. This Padres offense in the last 30 days, 232 ISO, 380 weighted OBA in the last 30 days, also walking around 10% and striking out just above 21%. And with Tuki Toussaint out there, yeah, I agree. The Padres should do some damage. So I like the Padres to score some runs, and I would take the over on the team total there.
All right, Tristan McKenzie on the mound for our next battle here between Cleveland and Houston. Yesterday, I know you might be rooting on a little bit more runs here, Kyle, out of Houston, but check this out. After getting blown away for much of the season, McKenzie goes down, works on some things, comes back up here, last outing versus Kansas City. Now, keep in mind, it's Kansas City. 7 innings, 1 hit, 9 strikeouts, and 1 walk. Did he fix the mechanics that quickly here, or going up now against true Major League hitting like the Houston Astros should provide? Are we looking for a fade spot here and say, you know what, Houston just doesn't have it together? Or are you going to lay that 180 to 190 here, Kyle?
Well, I'm not going to lay the 180 to 190. The only way I'm going to bet them is in that first 5 innings. I'll take him minus 0.5 at minus 125. Look, I like Garcia. I think he's actually a really nice DFS play tonight. He's not overly priced. He does have some upside, and it's the lowest weighted 3-year OPS pitcher versus lineup on the card today is Garcia. It's 581 for the Indians lineup. They do not project well or profile well, for those of you taking shots when we say profile. On the other hand, Tristan McKenzie doesn't profile terribly either, and he could be a really interesting low-owned DFS option. 6,900 on FanDuel, 8K on DraftKings, a little too juicy, so if you're playing FanDuel, I do think there's some value there. 52 in his last start, a -1 the start before that. We got a wide range of outcomes here. It is a guy who can be had. I think Garcia is a little more consistent, a little bit more solid than McKenzie. I would take the Astros minus 0.5 in the first 5 innings.
There you go. Wrapping that one up. Let's skip over Minnesota and Chicago White Sox. We know exactly our thoughts on that game. But our good old friend Johan Oviedo is on the mound today for the St. Louis Cardinals. Jason, 907, 908 Williams. Oviedo, roughly a pick-em across the board. 9s. Now, typically, look at this. Williams is not a great pitcher. Oviedo is ridiculous. They should be able to hit Chicago. But the same thing comes into it now. Post-All-Star break, pre-trade deadline. How locked in are the Cubs? Their star players. Are they going to be there next week? We don't know. And that's certainly showing up at the plate. They were brutal yesterday versus St. Louis. So it's one of those where, yeah, you'd like to take a team total in the Chicago Cubs and say, hey, let me take a flyer. But they're clearly checked out at this point, Jason.
Yeah, both teams really don't match up too well offensively against their respective pitchers in the opposition. So, Williams obviously will have low strikeouts. The ball will be in play when it comes down to the Cardinals hitting the ball. But, can they, hit them, base hits with guys on base? Probably not, right? They're not going to strike out. They're going to put the balls in play. But, it could be a lot of ground balls, could be a lot of disaster there for the Cardinals. So I wouldn't go with either team. I don't like how either team looks offensively. So while these pitchers aren't the best, I would stay away from their offenses too.
Yeah, me too. You're taking a look. What are we going to? And by the way, yes, if anybody watched that baseball game, you saw Jeff Bezos go up into space today. I think Javi Baez's head was in space in the field yesterday for quite a bit of the time. He was outrageous, almost like saying, let's get this thing over with tonight and trade everybody. But let's keep going down the list. Seattle, Colorado, hot conditions. Marco Gonzalez on the mound today. This is wild, man. Look, I know Colorado is Colorado and they play well at home, but they're sitting here at a minus 190 to minus 195. I had to do like a triple take and say, who the hell is on the mound out here today, Kyle?
And their team totals at 6. It's like, Jesus, bleeping Christ, how the hell am I supposed to touch this baseball game? The only way you touch it is dog or pass, right? You take the heavy plus money on the dog. Do I like Colorado at home? Much better, of course. Do I think there's the home run possibilities, the stories, the Crones, etc.? Absolutely. Gonzalez is absolutely terrible. But how in the hell are you supposed to take German Marquez, who, by the way, has been very, very good? 40, 31, and 52 in his last 3 starts against Seattle. Over his last 5 starts, nothing less than 34 fantasy points. It's been very good. There's no doubt about it. I'm not laying minus 190 on the Colorado Rockies. I'm not taking a team total of over 6 on the Colorado bleeping Rockies. Not going to happen. Let me look at the minus 0.5 in the first 5, because maybe we can get a decent number there. Minus 0.5 in the first 5, minus 145. That's something you get with the Dodgers and the Tigers. You know what I mean? That's the only way I'd bet it. Rockies minus 0.5 in the first 5. I wouldn't touch anything else. I don't mind some home run props in that. We were sort of talking about it before the show. Guys like Trevor Story, CJ Cron should be able to hit the baseball today. But if you're looking for a giant betting underdog and you just want to sprinkle a little bit on it, take the Mariners at plus money over the Rockies. It's the fucking Rockies, for Christ's sake. Give me a break.
Marco Gonzalez backer right here and Kyle Purviance. Last game, we'll talk about 909, 910, Pittsburgh, Arizona. Anderson and Widener, pick them across the board. You should, if every time Pittsburgh and Arizona plays, shouldn't you just make it a pick 'em across the board because nobody's going to care about this? And these are always my favorite here. Take a look at Arizona, right? Where do they play? Phoenix area, Glendale, Arizona. I think they got a better game to watch tonight than this baseball game, Jason. What are you looking at?
Yeah, just maybe. And I said the Pirates would win yesterday. It wasn't close. It was 4-2. No offense really in that game between two pitchers that weren't really that great. I still think the Pirates have the better offense in this game, going up against Widener, who has the 5.71 xFIP and walking 11.1% of batters in the last 30 days. The ground ball rate for Widener, 18.2%. So the balls are going to be loud. They're going to be high, 36.4% hard contact. So I think the Pirates should get the job done offensively. But then you also have Anderson on the other side, who has low strikeout rate and also a low ground ball rate as well as hard contact. So both pitchers really don't look great. But again, we know how both these offenses aren't that great either. So another game I wouldn't be touching, another game where the offenses look okay. The pitching looks pretty bad, but you just never know how it's going to roll. And that's why, like Donnie said, it should probably just be a pick 'em every single time they face.
Exactly. Close to 400 people watching in the chat box. Thank you, guys. Let's get to clearing the bases here as we wrap up the show and tell you guys exactly what we're on. I circled 8 wagers today that had a chance to be some sort of action today. Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Toronto, Cincinnati, Texas, and Houston on the team totals. But the 2 games that I played, obviously the value menu wager on the Colorado Rockies team total over 5.5, and my best bet and banker, the Chicago White Sox bet MGM 4.5 minus 125. Cashing tonight. I'm excited. You got the NBA. You got good Major League Baseball. Life is good, Jason. What you got today?
Yeah, the value play will be the Brewers over 2.5 in the first 5 on the team total. That game is in less than an hour, so if you want to get in that wager for the value play, do so soon. And of course, the big play will be the White Sox. They'll be over 2.5 on the team total. Got it at minus 110. If you see it at minus 125, I agree with that as well. Like Donnie said, the offense looks really, really good. Matched up really well and should get plenty of home runs early in this game. And just need to get 2 with one guy on, and we'll cash that ticket.
There you go. What do you got, Kyle? Best bet banker and also some value on that menu over there.
Well, my best bet and banker is going to be those Phillies, minus 0.5 in the first 5 at minus 105. Look, we sort of broke down the Colorado-Seattle game, right? The discrepancy in pitchers is very, very similar to what we're seeing in that Phillies-Yankees game. And in that one, you're looking at minus 145, minus 0.5. So I think we're getting a shorter number. I like the Phillies lineup better. I am going to take the Phillies minus 0.5 in the first 5 at minus 105 as my official play of the day on the value menu. I know that the Orioles are a crappy team, but they're sneaky against lefties. McClanahan's not some world beater. Over 3, minus 130, so you push at 3. I like that quite a bit. That will be on my value menu. Also, NBA props. I know it's NBA Finals Game 6 tonight. Chris Middleton has averaged nearly 8 rebounds a game during the 2021 NBA playoffs, nearly 9.5 during the NBA Finals. You're getting an over 6.5 at minus 145 on his rebounds today. Love that prop play for the NBA Finals. And for you guys looking for home run props, I have 6 players on my DFS home run list. Asvel Garcia, Nolan Arenado, Jose Abreu, Nelson Cruz, Salvador Perez, and Pete Alonso. Those are the 6 guys I like for home runs tonight.
All right. That'll do it for the Major League Baseball show here for a Tuesday. Thank you guys for joining in and keeping it lively out there in the chat box. Some good stuff tonight. As Kyle said, also NBA Finals are on for a nice little Major League Baseball card. So we are here to do, you know what? Tomorrow's Wednesday. We'll be back again breaking down Major League Baseball. I'm Donnie Seymour for Jason Radowitz, along with Kyle Purviance. We are SportsBookReview.com's Major League Baseball team. This was your Tuesday show. Good luck on those wagers tonight.